Just letting everyone know that we are beginning this program now. I'm going to do a stop share just to let you know that this evening with Venerable Children is part of our Women of Wisdom, celebrating the living legacy of Buddhist women program at Tse Chen Ling, which will go on for another about 5 months. So please check our calendar out to see special programs with women teachers and scholars. And tonight we welcome Venerable Thubten Chodron. It's our honor to have Venerable Chodron back in our Zoom room. Venerable Chodron is an author, teacher, and founder and abbess of Shravasti Abbey. It's a pioneering Tibetan Buddhist training monastery for Western nuns and monks in the US. She graduated from UCLA and did graduate work in education at USC. Ordained as a Tibetan Buddhist nun in 1977, she studied extensively with His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Tsenchab Serkong Rinpoche, and many other great Tibetan lamas. She received full ordination as a bhikshuni in 1986. So we're very happy to welcome Venerable Children in just a few moments to our Zoom room. And
Om Tare, Tutare Ture Soha, 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 Om Tare, Tutare, 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 Ture Soha, Om Tare Tutare Ture Soha. 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 Om Tare Tutare Ture Soha.
Welcome, welcome, venerable children, to Tse Chen Ling Center Zoom room. It's so lovely to have you teaching tonight. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for the invitation.
I will get started with sharing the prayers now. It's just, sorry. Let me
And
do
you'll
a-
lead the prayers? We will.
Yeah, I think you will, if that's okay. Yeah,
Mhm.
we're going to share, and I'm going to make that. I just have to start the slideshow.
Yeah, then you get the Tantra.
Yeah, sorry. This thing, sometimes it is hard to get to. And we'll go like this. There we go.
To teacher endowed, transcendent destroyer, one thus gone, foe destroyer, completely and fully awakened one, perfect in knowledge and good conduct, one gone to bliss, knower of the world, supreme guide of beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and humans, to you the Buddha endowed, transcendent destroyer, glorious conqueror, Shakyamuni, I prostrate, make offerings and go for refuge. When, O supreme among humans, you were born on this earth, you paced it in strides and said, I am supreme in this world. To you who are wise, then I bow. With pure bodies formed supremely fine, wisdom motion like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the three worlds, winner the best, supreme guide, to you I bow. With the supreme sun, space like the spotless moon, color like gold, to you I bow. You are immaculate, the three worlds are not incomparable, wise one, to you I bow. Great, compassionate protector, all-knowing teacher, field of merit and good qualities, vast as an ocean, to the Tathagata I bow. Through purity, freeing from attachment, through virtue, freeing from the lower realms, unique, supreme, ultimate reality, to the Dharma that is peace I bow. Having freed themselves, showing the path to freedom too, well established in the trainings, the holy field endowed with good qualities, to the Sangha I bow. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions, perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind completely, this is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a mirage, a flame in a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew, a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud, see conditioned things as such. Through this merit may sentient beings attain the state of all-seeing, subdue the four faults, and be delivered from the ocean of cyclic existence perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. This ground anointed with perfume, flowers strewn Mount Meru, foreland, sun and moon, imagined as a Buddha land and offered to you. May all beings enjoy this pure land, venerable holy gurus. In the space of your truth body, from billowing clouds of your wisdom and love, let fall the rain of the profound and extensive Dharma. in whatever form is suitable for subduing sentient beings. Idam guru rana mandalakam niryatayami.
I take refuge until I have awakened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By the merit I create by listening to the Dharma, I will attain Buddhahood in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I have awakened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By the merit I create by listening to the Dharma, I will attain Buddhahood in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I have awakened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By the merit I create by listening to the Dharma, I will attain Buddhahood in order to benefit all sentient beings. So let's take a few minutes, come back to our breath, let the mind settle after running around all day. And then let's generate our motivation. And think that with this precious human life, we have incredible possibility and opportunity to hear the Dharma, think about it, meditate on it. So we have that opportunity, but we must use that opportunity wisely and not brashly running in to do all sorts of things that we don't understand. And also not holding back and limiting ourselves. And we need to really have our heart in the right place when we do this. And really recall that our purpose is to advance on the path to full awakening. And the reason we're doing that is not because we want to be Buddhas, because Buddhas are the highest and Buddhas are the best. But we want to practice that path and attain Buddhahood because we can see that our planet and by extension, all of samsara is a big mess. And sentient beings are in a lot of pain and difficulty. And this pain and difficulty is a result of karma that our minds have created. So we want to help sentient beings learn what the causes of happiness are, what the causes of suffering are, so that their actions will be something that bring them happiness while they're on the path and will help to open their hearts to the Mahayana path and practice that, and then generating the great compassion, be able to benefit sentient beings in the most effective way, because we'll have the full compassion, wisdom, and skillful means to do that. So let's think long term, and that's where we're going. And that's our motivation for sharing the Dharma today. Okay. If whoever is watching online, if I could request you please to show yourself. I like speaking to a living audience, yeah, not black screens with people's names on them. Okay. So in just looking at the few of you that I see, I must say that there's John Landau is much more qualified than me to give this talk. Yes, John. Yes. And he's the one who put together Lama Yeshe's book, Intro to Tantra. Yeah, long-term practitioner. But anyway, it's part of a series on wisdom, women's wisdom, something like that. So, John, I'm sorry there's discrimination against you, and I guess that's why you didn't get asked and why I got stuck with doing it. I should also say that this is a difficult talk to give because I know a few of you, yeah, that I see. And I don't know who else is watching or who is going to. I'm assuming the talk will be archived and people will watch it later. So I don't know exactly who the audience is. And when you're talking about Tantra, knowing who your audience is extremely important. Okay? So when I was initially thinking about what to say, preparing for Tantra, well, the obviously thing to prepare is the three principal aspects of the path. Okay, and so I thought, well, I'll give a talk on the three principal aspects of the path. But also seeing that some people listening to this talk have heard that and studied that, it never hurts to hear about the three principal aspects of the path a million zillion times. Yeah, and that really is what we have to practice if we want to prepare ourselves to practice Tantra. But then I thought, we have His Holiness's book here, yeah, called Vajrayana and the Culmination of the Path. And I thought, what His Holiness said in the book is really wonderful. And so I should do some reading from that and then maybe make some comments on it. So His Holiness does not start this book out talking about the three principal aspects of the path, because this is volume 10 in a 10-volume series. And he's assuming that people have read and studied and are in the process of practicing the material in the first 9 volumes. Okay? So, just to emphasize the importance of the 3 principles of the path. And then I will read something from this where he goes on from there. So Serka Rinpoche was at Sravasti Abbey a few weeks ago, and he emphasized so much in the teaching he gave: renunciation, the determination to be free of samsara. And he basically said that if we, don't meditate on renunciation and generate the very strong wish to be free of samsara, then we're basically not going to get anywhere on the path, okay? Because without the determination to be free, it means we're quite happy with our samsara, basically, and all we want to do basically is tweak our samsara so we can have some more money, have more friends, be more popular, all this kind of stuff, okay? And of course, doing that may, if we have good karma ripening, yes, we may get more pleasure in this lifetime, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when we become attached to it and we ignore our human potential because we're too distracted running around chasing external things that are glittery, yeah, then, we may do things that look like tantric practice or that look like sutra practice, but actually they're not practicing the Dharma because the motivation isn't there. And to really be something, to be a Dharma practitioner, it's got to be that, we care more about future lives than we care about this life. Yeah, that's the bottom line. Okay, now when I look at Tantrayana in the West and what's happening, I don't know if most of the people practicing it are really fed up with samsara or not. Because what I see is, and many of you may have encountered this, is people walk into a Buddhist center and there happens to be an empowerment that's going on in the afternoon. They're completely new to Buddhism, but the people in the center go, wow, you have such good karma. You walked in here right when Lama so-and-so is going to give a highest yoga tantra empowerment, and this is the highest practice. It will lead you to enlightenment in this lifetime. And you're so fortunate. So come, he's going to start in an hour or 30 minutes. So come to the empowerment and it'll be wonderful. You'll be on the path forever. And this, yeah. Okay. So now, have some of you encountered that when you were brand new? I see some nodding heads. Yeah. Okay, so some people, of course, your friends are telling you that this is fantastic and enlightenment in one life. You have no idea what enlightenment is, but it sounds good. And it's given by a Tibetan Lama. And Tibetan lamas, they have special powers. Tibet is, close to Shangri-La, and they have special powers. They can read your mind. They can levitate. They can do all sorts of things. So really, you should make this connection with these lamas. And so people go into the initiation and they sit there and, they go, wow, this is special because Tibetan Buddhism, yeah, there's big thrones, there's lots of brocade, yeah, there's hats, these really interesting hats, yeah, and then they chant in deep tones that you've never heard before. And that's something new and exciting. And then in the empowerment, they pass out blessed water. Wow. And sometimes you even get a long life pill. Wow. And they hit you on the head. Yeah. This is with a vase full of blessed water. They hit you. Yeah, clunk, clunk. Yeah. And it's like, ah, I'm blessed. Yeah. Now, you might think that I'm being a little bit exaggerating, or you might think I'm being exaggerating a lot. Exaggerating a little bit. But I've come to the conclusion, because I've watched this in Southeast Asia also. I've really seen what happens when the lamas go to Southeast Asia. And it seems like people think that the less you understand, the bigger the blessing is. Because the Lama reads, yeah, you look horrified. Yeah, that's what I agree. Because the Lama rings a bell and there's a drum. Yeah, and there's the blessed water, and then there's long horns, super long horns, and shorter horns, and and cymbals, lots of cymbals and big drums and small dharmarus. This is like fantastic. What an experience. I got an initiation. Okay, so that's what happens. Then they go home. Yeah. Then somebody tells them, oh, you took that empowerment. There's a daily commitment to do a practice. What? What? Yeah. And they give you, the sadhana. And it's like, this is weird. Yeah. Half of it's in Tibetan, these what they call mantras. And then there's just all these things you've never encountered in your life. Yeah. And so you need help. So then you come to a senior Sangha member. Okay. For example, me. Okay. I've been hanging around for a long time. So they call me a senior one. Okay. Not in terms of intelligence, just I've been hanging around a long time. So they come to me and they say, oh, I'm supposed to do this practice. And I say, oh, what empowerment, what deity did you get the empowerment into? I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, it was I don't know. I don't know the name, It was some weird looking figure, and I can't even describe it. So then I say, okay, did you did you take the initiation? Oh, yes, I took it. Because if somebody took it, then that means that they should have taken the precepts, the different sets of vows beforehand, and that it means that they should do the commitment. So then I try and check, did they really take the empowerment or not? And so I say, did you take any vows? No. Uh, yeah, was I supposed to? Oh, yeah. Or they might say, yeah, I repeated some stuff in Tibetan after the Lama, but yeah. I don't know what they were, what I'm supposed to do. So how am I supposed to help a person like this? Yeah, I basically say, if you didn't take the different whatever vows they were, yeah, and then that means you didn't actually take the empowerment, and so you don't have the commitment, but also that means you didn't take it, so don't say to people that you've taken it. Yeah. Then some people look relieved, like, oh, oh, I don't have to do that practice. And some people look like, oh, disappointed. Okay. So what's going on here? It's um, people don't mean harm, but they just don't know. And then sometimes they get themselves into predicaments. Some of them say, yes, I did take the vows. Yeah. But how am I supposed to keep them? There's a daily commitment, and I have a job, and I have a family, and, I was just in there for one afternoon. Ay, ay, ay. Okay. So what I'm getting at here is that we need the proper motivation, and we need background in general Sutrayana, general Dharma, teachings. And not just hearing teachings, but actually practicing them. Yeah. So we get some kind of feeling for what the Buddha, where the Buddha is directing us. Yeah. And he's directing us to think. He's not directing us to have blind faith that drinking some water and getting bonked on with a vase on the head is going to bring us enlightenment in one lifetime. Okay, that's not what it's about. So this is really, the importance of the three principal aspects of the path, the four truths, the three higher trainings, all those things. They're really important. Okay, because people, I know my cohort, yeah, we all wanted to get enlightened in that one lifetime, yeah, and Lama said we could, and we loved Lama and we trusted Lama, so yes, we want to get enlightened in this one lifetime. And uh, yeah, and it we all wanted to get enlightened, so we wanted to find a cave. Yeah, because we heard stories about Milarepa. I mean, he's Tibetan's, saint in a way. And you hear what he did, and he renounced everything, and he went and he ate nettles, and he sat in this cave, and he got enlightened in that one lifetime. I'm gonna do that too. So we were all excited and looking, we wanted to get a little bit more Dharma teachings, maybe a few more months, and then go find our cave and, with central heating and aircon in the summer and, grocery stores that deliver food to the opening of your cave. Yeah. And, an electric stove or, nice comfy cave. Yeah. Because if you're uncomfortable, you can't practice. Yeah. So, yeah, we want to be like Milarepa, who had difficulties, but yeah, we surmounted our difficulties by having a cave with electricity. And it needs to have an internet connection too. Yeah, because I got to keep up with what's going on in the world. So this kind of situation, I look at myself the way I was the first few years like this, and I chuckle. Yeah. But I see, it was due to the kindness of Lama Yeshe. I mean, that I got exposed to Tantra. But what did he do? Yeah, he didn't send us out to find a cave and do retreat for the rest of our lives. Yeah, I remember the big shock was when one of the monks was told to open a business in Kathmandu and export some of the handicrafts to the West to raise money for the monastery because they were refugees and they needed money to educate all the little boys at Kopan. So this monk got sent out to that. Yeah. Then somebody else got sent to Australia to, I guess, learn hip hop from the kangaroos and set up a Dharma center in the process. Yeah. I, I got sent to Italy. Yeah. So that I could be the disciplinarian of the macho Italian monks. Yeah. Other people were sent to France. Venerable Sanke Kadra was sent to England. Yeah. And we were all longing for our caves. Yeah. Because we were enthusiastic and we thought we could do it. Yeah, this one life. Speaking of Venerable Sange Kadra, we were talking one day and she commented about this to me, how we were at the beginning and, we're going to do it and we can do it and it won't take very long. And then she said, the more I studied the Dharma, the more I knew that enlightenment's going to be a long ways away. That there's so many things that you have to learn about, not external things to learn about, but whatever you hear in the teachings to apply them to your own mind. Yeah. And then basically, kind of reformat certain areas of our mind. Yeah. Because our mind is a little bit, it's like a corrupted computer disk sometimes. Yeah. You try and read something and, look at our mind. Look what goes through our mind day to day. Anger, attachment, jealousy, pride, and self-centered thought. And of course, the underlying thing that we don't see so much is self-grasping ignorance, that it's there all day, every day, but we don't notice it. Self-centered thought, we notice once in a while in ourselves, but we notice it all the time in other people. Yeah. People are so selfish. Yeah, they won't communicate properly. They do these things that bug me. Yeah. And yeah. And so, we're still stuck in this view that my suffering, my dukkha, my discontent is the fault of other people and the environment. Yeah. And I know how the world should be. I know how other people should act. Yeah. All these people that bug me, they are doing something wrong. They need Dharma practice. They better change. Yeah, because what they're doing is bugging me. Yeah. This is precisely why Lama sent me to Italy, because partway through my stay there, I was talking to Lama on the phone, and I said, Lama, they're making me create so much negative karma because they don't cooperate. And Lama's like, oh, yeah, you know. So, this is one of the key things in Dharma practice, is to realize that our happiness and our unhappiness are not coming from outside. Yeah, they're coming first from our karma, actions we've done in the past that are ripening, and they're coming from our present attitude, how we look at things now. And this is one of the basic things that we should be learning, not how to visualize ourselves as deities with multiple arms and legs when we don't even know who we are in this life. Yeah. Yeah. So this is something I think that's quite important, and it makes me wonder, about the degeneration of the Dharma, that the Tantra is spread so widely to people who aren't prepared and who may not respect it, because the tantric vehicle is just, it's fantastic. Yeah. I'm not speaking from experience. I'm speaking from having studied a little bit of what they do and how it affects the mind and abilities to benefit others. But I'm concerned that it degenerates. Yeah, instead of people really learning to respect it and and see how powerful it is, and how it needs to be slowly. We need to slowly create the causes for it, learning the Sutrayana path, and then also find a qualified tantric master who will give the empowerment, and a master who will explain how to do the practice, and answer questions. And I think, with Buddhism being so new or Tibetan Buddhism, I should say, being so new in the West and in Southeast Asia, we need masters who, if they give tantric empowerments, say that, you're planting seeds and you're not expected to gain realizations in this lifetime. His Holiness Dalai Lama actually said, when I was I had, to help him with this series of 10 books, I had the opportunity to ask him questions and so on. So, I asked him about this and, enlightenment in one life and so on. And other things that you find, that if you say this mantra one time, you will never be born in the lower realms. Or if you say another mantra, 100 times, then, something fantastic will happen. And His Holiness looked at me and he said, that sounds like Chinese communist propaganda. Yeah. I said, no, it's people have to understand what they're getting into and have to think, not just accept things because somebody said so and it looks good on the outside. Okay. So I think, this is something important to remember. And I wonder too if, people who are new, and I know myself when I was new, and still now, there's a long ingrained habit of blaming other people when I'm unhappy. It has nothing to do with my karma. It has nothing to do with my mind. I didn't do anything. I'm just an innocent person who always means well. And then this other person came and they did this and this and this and this. And, you have this whole like rap sheet that like you're turning it into the prosecutor of, everything this person did wrong. And like, you go and tell them to stop it. Yeah. Or I'm going to tell them to stop it, but they don't listen to me. Oh, these people are driving me crazy. Yeah. Okay. If somebody still sees the world like that, are they ready for Tantra? This is why there's the three principal aspects of the path. This is why there's the three scopes. The initial scope, the middle scope, the advanced scope. Yeah. This is why there's mind training teachings, so that, we begin to own our own experiences and stop blaming the world and other people for everything. And that's hard to do because we are certain it is their fault. And you know what proves it? My friends agree with me. Yeah. When other people agree with me, then I know my assessment is right. It's nasty people. Get them out of here. It's true, isn't it? Yeah. And so we need to do something with that mind. Otherwise, you sit down and you're going to do tantric meditation. And when you get distracted and all this memories come up and old stories and disappointments and breakups and all that stuff comes up to interrupt your meditation, yeah, you're going to blame the deity. Yeah, I'm meditating on Chenrezig. He's peaceful. How come I'm living through, remembering this breakup that I had in high school and I'm so traumatized by it? Yeah. Have you noticed how everybody has trauma nowadays? Yeah. So all your trauma comes up and you don't know what to do with it. You blame the Lama, you blame the deity. Yeah. What happened to Chenrezig? He's supposed to be peaceful. He's bringing out all my anger. Okay, so that's one thing. Then also, yeah, if people are, okay, I have to back up a minute. So people need to have strong refuge in the Buddha Dharma Sangha, and they need to understand refuge properly. okay? That refuge doesn't mean Buddha, 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 please. I want to find a really nice man to marry. Yeah, please, Buddha, Buddha, Buddha. Or if I can't find that, my mother wants to win the lottery. Yeah. And my dad wants a corner office. And my brother wants to get accepted on the NFL. So please, Buddha, So what we find in the West is that many people they impute qualities on the Buddha that they learned in Sunday school when they got taught about God. And Buddha is not God. What's difficult is that sometimes the way the prayers are written, it sounds like, I request you, please grant me, the blessings to realize this. Please grant me the blessings to realize that. It sounds like, your job is, like a good Christian, to request blessings, to praise the Buddha. You used to praise God, now you're praising the Buddha. Lots of praises for Buddha, to recite. Lots of requests to make. And, and you see the Buddha like God. And the deity kind of like, God's helper. Or angels. Yeah, they're like angels. And so you're expecting, when you're sick, that, the Buddha, Chenrezig, Yamantaka is going to swoop down and rescue you. Yeah, and take you to Never Never Land, where you will live happily forever after with Peter Pan and Tinkerbell. That's what we want, isn't it? We want something that is quick, cheap, and easy. Yeah. But just preparing ourselves for Tantra takes a lot of effort. Yeah. It's not quick, cheap, and easy. But if we can really, this first thing of think, no, my reality is created by my mind. I am responsible for what I'm experiencing. That doesn't mean I blame myself. Blame is useless. But it means that I have to stop blaming the world. Why? Well, first of all, it's an incorrect view. And second of all, when it's other people's problem that I'm unhappy, when they're the cause of it, then we are giving away our power. Because we're saying, I can't deal with this situation because it's this person's fault and they need to change. So in the meantime, I'm just here and, at their mercy. But that's not what's happening, Yes, they may be doing something, this or that. That's their business. They're the ones creating the karma for that. We're the ones experiencing the result of our previous actions. We're the ones who are looking at situations from a certain perspective. And when we look at things from the viewpoint of me, I, my, and mine, it's kind of a setup very often to get tangled up. Yeah. Okay, so this is why, these preliminary practices are not so preliminary. When you really think of it, they are not preliminary. Look at three principal aspects of the path. I mean, renunciation. Do we have renunciation of samsara now? Yeah. not when it's lunchtime and they burn the food that we like, you know, not when we're last in line and the food's gone. Okay, not when they, I won't comment on it. Yeah, we had one, what do you call it? Well, I should shut up. So, um, and then we look, you know, just the initial thing to taking refuge. Yeah. Now, His Holiness, when he's speaking to big crowds, he says, you know, oh, some people, they're new, you know, you're not sure if there's rebirth. So you can still take refuge. That's okay. He does that because he's speaking to a huge crowd of people, and he really wants them to make that karmic connection, you know. Um, but what about people who are not convinced about rebirth? Should they be getting into Tantra? Yeah. What is the motivation that we're supposed to be doing tantric practice with? Bodhicitta. Now, can you really generate bodhicitta or even uh, artificial bodhicitta if you don't believe that there's rebirth? Yeah, now this is another thing that's going on in Buddhism in America. The people who are secular Buddhists who say that Buddha didn't teach rebirth. The Buddha did teach rebirth. It's in the scriptures. Yeah, he talks about his own previous lives. He talks about karma and the results of actions in future lives. He talks about people that he encounters in this life experiencing things because of actions they did in previous lives. If you don't believe in rebirth, yeah, then do you really accept the idea of karma? Yeah. Back in the 90s, when I wrote my first book, Open Heart, Clear Mind, I sent it into one publisher. It had a chapter on rebirth and a chapter on karma, as well as, you know, the other main topics. And they wanted me to soften the chapter about rebirth and maybe even take it out. And same thing with, you know, that I should explain karma just as cause and effect, what's happening in this life. Like you go to school, so you get a diploma, so you can get a job. They don't need to learn that when they come to learn Buddhism, okay? So, you know, if you don't believe in rebirth, what exactly are you trying to liberate all sentient beings from? And if you don't believe in rebirth, then what kind of compassion do you have? You have some compassion, you know, for the people in Gaza who are starving, you know, for the people in Ukraine who are getting bombed, for Aunt Ethel who's in the hospital, you know, for Uncle, you know, whatever his name is, you know, Uncle Frederick, who, you know, is in hospice. Yeah, we can see suffering in this life. Yeah, extreme suffering. You don't need Buddhism to learn that that exists. Yeah. So having compassion for people with that kind of suffering definitely is important. But what about compassion for people who are happy? Yeah. nobody, you look people who are rich, people who are famous. Oh, I would like to be like them. We don't see what their lives are really like. And we don't even see in our own life how just being temporarily happy is really in the nature of unsatisfactoriness. Yeah, but that's all samsara offers us, is little bits of sense pleasure happiness here and there. Yeah. We happen to live in a quite wealthy country, so we think that, yeah, we deserve it, it should be here. Yeah. But does it really satisfy us? Do we even stop to think about sense pleasure happiness? Hmm? Yeah. We don't. I mean, 8 worldly concerns, they run the show. I want a good reputation. I want people to say nice things about me. I don't want to hear any criticism. I want a lot of praise. And we never really see that those kind of attitudes and cravings are unsatisfactory, and that they're the source of a lot of our discontent. Because we run after this, we run after that, we get it, and then what happens? Yeah, whatever comes together must separate. Yeah, there's no living happily ever after, because, well, first of all, the divorce rate is quite high. But aside from that, is that person always going to do what you want? There's never going to be any differences of opinion. They're always going to make you happy. And at the end of the day, what happens? You separate, either before you die or definitely at the time of death. So there's no staying together forever and ever and ever. Yeah. So what exactly are we freeing sentient beings from when we generate great compassion? Is it just, the gross pain? Is it just this kind of disappointment? And then what they say, the third kind of dukkha, third kind of suffering, is that there's nothing is predictable and secure in samsara. Everything is dependent on causes and conditions. And we took this life motivated, by the force of afflictions and karma. And so what security is there in a life with a body like this that is produced by afflictions and karma? Yeah. So this is the deepest kind of dukkha, or suffering. Yeah. Suffering of pervasive conditioning. Really important that, we understand that, and that how that carries over from one life to the next, because each life in samsara is taken under the force of afflictions and karma. Okay. So, when we want to, if bodhicitta is the proper motivation to have when doing tantric practice, then we need this understanding of the 3 types of dukkha, and to really have compassion for ourselves and for everybody who is stuck, in this thing of one rebirth after the next under the influence of afflictions and karma. Yeah. And we need to be able to look at that very clearly without rationalizing it, but without getting depressed. And this is a thing that many people get hung up on, is they hear, well, the determination to be free, it's important, so you have to understand these three kinds of dukkha. I use the Sanskrit word dukkha instead of suffering. I don't think suffering is a good translation. But anyway, we have to really think about that in our lives, in the lives of others, and then have compassion for other living beings. How often do we experience real compassion? Yeah, it's easy to have compassion for our friends and relatives, at least some relatives. Yeah, some relatives, oh, they are the cause of suffering. Yeah. Yeah. But, we have to have some inner courage to be able to look at this and think about it deeply, yeah, and not get depressed and not say, oh, it's all hopeless. Everything I do is under the influence of ignorance. Oh, I can't do anything right. And, oh, and anyway, the world's falling apart. So I'm just depressed. I'm going to go to the bar. I'll get some relief in the bar. Yeah. Or I'll go buy some, those cookies? Yeah. The cookies that they have now? I think they're called edibles. Yeah, so they're things that you eat, and they are happy cookies. Yeah. So, where do we take refuge? Yeah. Yeah. Where's our refuge? What are our refuge objects? Okay. So the bar. Yeah, the bar and the drinking and drugging, intoxicants. That's our refuge. Okay. What's another refuge? The refrigerator. Yeah. If I could only, I like this food, I want this food, okay, we take refuge in the refrigerator. What else do we take refuge in? Shopping! Yes, we are helping the economy when we are good shoppers. Yeah, and I suffer so much, so I'm going to buy myself a present. Yeah. And anyway, I really need, that new computer and that new mouse and all these other computer things that I don't even know the names of. But, I really need them, And I need iPhone number 58. I'm not content with, what is it now, 11, 12? I don't have no idea. Okay. But yeah, what? 17. Oh, well, iPhone 17 will never do. 58 I want now. Later, I'll want 157, and then after that, a few thousand, Yeah, because they're always updating it. So I take refuge in my phone, because my phone, I can look up anything I want to. I can watch movies. I can look at all sorts of things that I don't want other people to know what I'm looking at. iPhones are small. I can hold them here. Yeah, nobody's going to see what I'm looking at. Yeah, and I don't want them to see what I'm looking at. Yeah, so this is how we take refuge now. Yeah. So, it's really important to the basics. I want to say go back to the basics, but like I said before, the basics are not so basic. Yeah, they're difficult. Okay, renunciation, really wanting to be out of samsara. Yeah. Okay. Bodhicitta. Oh, bodhicitta is so wonderful. I love bodhicitta. Yeah. And I can have great compassion for everybody who's nice to me. Yeah. But there's a lot of people, they don't deserve my compassion. Yeah. And especially, I don't know, some of you might be American. Yeah. We know who we're not giving our compassion to. Yeah. So it's either, the radical lunatic left, or it's the radical lunatic right. Yeah. And you're not giving your compassion to those people. Strangers, who cares? Yeah. They should basically just do their job in society so that I can get everything I want. Mm-hmm. Okay. But I have great compassion for them. We're not really even recognizing most sentient beings as having feelings, as wanting happiness and not wanting suffering. Yeah. We so often just sentient beings are for my pleasure and should not bug me and should not get in my way. Yeah. And then when these Buddhists say bugs have consciousness and don't want to suffer and be happy, and you just were doing circumambulation around our Buddha hall, and it is stink bug season. And when it's sunny, the whole wall, we have so many stink bugs, and they're not content to stay on the wall. Yeah, I had one flying down into my shirt today. Another one, taking giving me a little kiss here, I'm not stink bug food. And then, then they're flying around and they hit you in the face. And it's like, I'm supposed to have compassion for them. I want the turkeys to come. Have you ever seen what the turkeys do around the stink bugs? Oh, stink bugs are like going to the Hilton Hotel for turkeys. Yeah, they love eating the stink bugs live, like human beings do when they drop seafood into boiling water. Yeah, they eat the stink bugs live. And they even, have you ever seen a turkey jump up on a wall? The stink bugs are up here and the turkeys jump, Of course, they don't stick on the wall, but they get their beak exactly where the stink bug is and eat it alive. And I'm supposed to have compassion for these living beings because they've been my mother? I mean, who are you kidding? They haven't been my mother. And the stink bugs bug me, and the turkeys. I'm glad the turkeys eat the stink bugs. It gets the stink bugs out of the way. But in the springtime, the turkeys drive me crazy. Yeah, because it's mating season and they're trying to figure out who's going to the turkey prom with who. And so all the male turkeys are chasing the female turkeys who ignore them, and they just make such a fuss while I'm trying to meditate on compassion for all sentient beings. They're disturbing my meditation. Yeah. So, it's hard to have compassion when there's even the smallest little thing that disturbs what we want and how we think things should be. Okay. Then the third principal aspect of the path, the wisdom, realizing the nature of reality. I want to realize nature reality. They say it's emptiness. Yeah, emptiness. That sounds good. Yeah, emptiness of everything I don't like. Yeah, everything is empty. Yeah. So I meditate on emptiness. Yeah. And the Lama's saying, experience bliss and emptiness. Yeah, bliss. Bliss. Where's my bliss? Where's my boyfriend? Yeah, my bliss depends on my boyfriend. Oh, but is he empty? Yeah, he doesn't have much money and he makes me pay. You know? Yeah, his wallet's empty. Yeah. You know, we have no idea what emptiness means. Yeah, I'm not my body. Yeah, I'm not my mind. So what? So what? Or emptiness must mean nothing exists. Yeah? Nothing exists. So all my enemies don't exist. Okay, let's have some blank-minded meditation. Yeah, nothingness. Yeah. We don't have any idea what's going on. And yet, to understand Tantra, we have to have not just some cursory familiarization with these three and all of their other meditations that lead up to generate them, but we really have to have some, conviction and some understanding of what they are. Otherwise, we think emptiness means nothing exists. And then you get to, then based on emptiness, then you hear in Tantra, there's no good and there's no bad. And all these tantric yogis, did you hear the one about, his wife appearing as the deity, and they were walking down the street in union, and he was holding a Dorji and bell. One was his daughter, one was his son in that form, walking down the street. That is bliss and emptiness. That's what Tantra is about. We hear those stories, And then you hear the story about Naropa and Tilopa, and how Tilopa said to Naropa, they were watching, there was a wedding going on, and Tilopa said to his disciple Naropa, if you're a good disciple, you'll go and grab the bride's breast. Yeah. That was after he told him to jump off the cliff. Yeah. And we hear these stories. Yeah. And it's like, huh? Yeah. I'm supposed to have total faith in my guru, and he's going to tell me to jump off a cliff and interrupt a wedding and do something lewd like that? Huh? That doesn't make much sense. But on the other hand, they say in Tantra, everything is empty. There's no good, there's no bad. So yippee, that means I can do anything I want. This whole business about karma, that was just to scare me. Yeah, it's like what they did in the church. They threaten you with going to hell and tell you to follow the commandments so that you'll be a good kid. But none of that really exists. Mhm. Yeah, and let me tell you, I mean, I was once at a Buddhist conference where somebody stood up and started tossing cushions, saying, you know, there's no good, there's no bad. You know, this is a conference of, yeah. So, yeah, I think maybe I've made my point. Yeah, that the preliminaries are not so preliminary, and it's really to our own benefit to spend time learning them. And if we, you know, have some uh, feeling for them, then maybe taking Kriya Tantra empowerment. But see whatever you take as planting seeds in your mind stream. But your main practice is still the three principal aspects of the path. Yeah, that's got to be our main practice. Yeah, because, you know, otherwise, what are we doing in Tantra? We're visualizing, you know, this flying here and that flying there and things arise. You know, it's kind of like, yeah, watching a Walt Disney, yeah, film. And then some people come and say, oh, I'm really interested in tech and I want to do the sadhana so that you just put on glasses and you see the whole visualization in front of you. And that way you can do your sadhanas. And I've had people, you know, want me to wear the glasses and do that. Okay. So, um, so that's step one of preparing for Tantra. I thought that I'm scheduled to do another talk on on also part two, and I thought in that one I would give a little bit of an overview about the four classes of Tantra and some of the things that are going on during them. Okay, so that's next time. There's a live audience here, but yeah, they're all with, yeah, look, even I said, don't do it. Yeah, there, I got the clicker. I got the clicker. Yeah. So there's a few minutes. Maybe we can have questions. And I'm not guaranteeing answers, but you know, we can do some Q&A. So if you do Q&A, yeah, you have to raise your hand somehow, click on the right thing to raise your hand, and then we'll call on you, and then you can unmute and ask your question. Right? What are you doing? Oh, the clicker doesn't work. Oh. Huh? Okay. Questions?
So
Anybody?
any
Yes.
no, I was going to say, so anyone in the Zoom room, please feel
Uh-huh.
free to raise your hand, as Venerable Chodron said, or if you don't want to ask your question directly,
Uh-huh.
camera problem, you can send it to the chat and I'll ask for you. So
Yeah, good. Thank you. Okay, people here.
I'm not seeing any questions yet in the Zoom room?
Okay, no, there's one here.
Okay.
Okay,
Where does Tantra come from? Was this taught by the Buddha?
yes, it was taught by the Buddha. Yeah, it was not taught publicly to everybody because not everybody is a suitable vehicle for it. And the Buddha knew that if he taught some of these things publicly, people would really get the wrong idea and it wouldn't work. So he taught things to select groups of people. Yeah. And so some of the teachings he gave on Tantra were given in our world, yeah, and some were given in different realms and then brought here. Okay, yeah, there's at the beginning of the book, actually the second section in the first chapter is, where did it go? I'll read the It's called Wisdom in Paramitayana and Vajrayana. Oh, I'm sorry. The second chapter, second section, is called The History of Tantra. And the first section is called The Meaning of Vajrayana. Yeah. Okay. Venerable Tarpa, you had something?
Yeah, I was wondering if you could comment about what Geshe Dadro said about using the word of capacity for power. One time we were talking about Tantra and he said that
Yeah.
the word power that's used in Tantra, he thinks is better translated as capacity, having the
Mhm.
capacity. And I'm wondering if you have any thoughts
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, I think it, yeah, and it's often translated too as skillful means, which is what capacity means. You have the skillful ability to lead others on the path. Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's a very good way of talking about it. Because power can make you think, gotta go to the gym and get some muscles, or I've gotta, yeah, just act like a very powerful person or something like that. Other things? Yeah.
You were saying that our main practice really should be the three principal aspects of the path.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering, are there any parts of tantric practice that actually help us cultivate understanding of the three principal aspects of the path, or is that really mainly sutra practice?
Well, all those things are sutra, okay? However, when you do a tantric sadhana, there are times in it where you can stop and meditate on the three principal aspects of the path. I mean, the first thing you do is take refuge and generate bodhicitta. Yeah. So instead of just reciting the words, you can stop there and really, think, what does refuge mean? What are the three objects of refuge? Yeah, do we really understand them? There's so many teachings in the Sutrayana that really describe the qualities of the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. Have we studied those? Do we remember them? Okay. And then, of course, stopping to meditate on bodhicitta. When the deity absorbs into you, you meditate on emptiness. Yeah, when you manifest as the deity and you're sending out light rays to benefit sentient beings, then you have to think about, what does benefiting sentient beings mean? Yeah, am I just sending out light rays with lollipops on them? Yeah, what does it mean to benefit sentient beings? Yeah. So, yeah. Who else? Yeah. Who's
I have
next?
another question. I
Okay.
was wondering, I understand what you're saying about the three principal aspects of the path. But I was wondering if you would talk a little bit about how we should go about studying the tantric precepts.
Mm,
Because
okay.
they always say that if you don't know those, you're really not gonna get anywhere. You know,
What's the
I think
last?
my understanding is that if you don't really focus on the tantric precepts, you really won't advance in tantra.
Yeah, keeping the tantric precepts is very important. In order to know them, you have to take the empowerment. Yeah, it's like monastic vows in general. You don't know them before you take them. The Bodhisattva precepts, you can, study before you take them. Yeah, but the tantric ones you can. And then there's the Samaya of the five Dhyani Buddhas, or the five Buddha families, I should say. And yeah, so there's a lot of things to learn. How to learn that? There's some books that talk about tantric ethical conduct, but basically, it's really good when a teacher will explain that to you. Because when somebody gives empowerment, you're forming a special relationship. It isn't, like you give empowerment. Okay, bye. See you in a few more eons. It's, the student should request teachings on the tantra, the ethical conduct, and the teacher should give them. Yeah. And they say that it's like with the Sutrayana path, everything really is based. The only way to start to make progress is by keeping good ethical conduct. Yeah. So the tantric ethical conduct is, very different from what you do in Sutrayana, what you do in Paramitayana. But when you understand how Tantra functions, then you understand why the tantric ethical concerns are like that. Does that answer your question okay? Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Venerable, is there just one set of tantric precepts, or are there different precepts depending on the empowerment?
Um, there can be, well, according to the class of Tantra, there's different precepts. And even in highest class Tantra, yes, it can depend. There's some ones that apply to all of the empowerments, and then there's ones that apply to specific deities too.
Venerable Rinchen, maybe we have
Yeah.
one more. Is there time for one more question, Venerable?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you hear me okay?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
When we have the opportunity, for instance, at the Abbey to, be part of Sok Guru Puja, but, we don't have highest Yoga Tantra empowerment, or we see statues and tankas depicting deities that we don't have the empowerment for, how should we relate to that? Like, what is a beneficial way to really think about it when we have exposure to tantric practices or images that's, beyond what we are practicing or have knowledge of?
Yeah. I think an attitude of, I don't understand this. And just be honest with yourself. I know it has, like, if you see the images, it has some symbolic meaning, but I haven't been introduced to that deity through an empowerment. I haven't received teachings on it. So I don't expect myself to, to, understand everything about it. But then there are certain things that you can understand. I mean, you know how when I explain, for example, with Chenrezig, why does thousand-armed Chenrezig, have all these arms out like that? Yeah. And then I have people, sit like this. And do you feel compassionate when you sit like this? No. When you have your arms like this and you're open, do you feel, that compassion is more powerful, is closer? Yeah. Okay, well, that's why Chenrezig's arms are stretched out. Yeah, so you can understand things like that. Personally speaking, and also this is, I don't think we should show tankas of either wrathful deities or couples, yabyum tankas, just publicly where, somebody's mother or father can walk in and see them, or, different things, because it's so easy for people to generate wrong conceptions. Yeah. So, yeah, one of my teachers, Geshe Thubten, he was one of the meditators above Dharamsala in one of the little huts up there. For many years, he meditated there. And his attendant walked up with supplies, with food for Geshe-la every week. And the attendant told me that he'd have to go and, he put the food inside the hut. And he said, never in all that time did he know what Geshe-la was meditating on. He never saw his Vajra and bell. Yeah, he never saw the deity picture. And, Geshe-la really kept that part of Tantra quite strictly, so that people don't get wrong ideas. Yeah. And I'm saying this, when we were in Bodh Gaya some years ago, there was one young man who I think was staying with one of our monks at that time. Yeah. And this young man had taken a highest class empowerment, a few months before. And, so he had heard, oh, Tantra is secret. It's called the secret mantra, the secret vehicle. So he said to the other people who he was rooming with in the hotel, I have to do my secret practice, and you can't be in the room when I'm doing my secret practice. So I'm going to move to another hotel. And he did. Totally, yeah. Didn't understand. And yet, wanted to wear a big mala and a yogi a shawl. Yeah. Yeah, because now I practice Tantra, so I have big mala, yoga shawl, walk around like this. So, yeah. So, he didn't mean bad. It's just, he didn't know, because people weren't prepared and beforehand and taught well afterwards. Okay, I think we've run out of time. Okay, so like I said, I will try and talk about some things from the book about Tantra next time, what things His Holiness said, and give you maybe some kind of overview about at least the way of dividing Tantra into 4 classes, and what are the practices that you do. And when you really hear about them, you realize, oh, these things require a lot of practice. You know? Okay, so we can dedicate now.
May the spiritual teachers who lead me on the sacred path, and those spiritual friends who practice it, have long life. May I pacify completely all outer and inner hindrances. Grant such inspiration, I pray. May the lives of the venerable spiritual mentors be stable, and their virtuous actions spread in the 10 directions. May the light of Lobsang's teachings dispelling the darkness of the beings in the 3 worlds always increase. Siram Gurvanna Mandalakam Niryatayami.
Due to this merit, may we soon attain the awakened state of Guru Buddha, that we may be able to liberate all sentient beings from their suffering. May the precious Bodhi-ma, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore in the snowy mountain pure land. You're the source of good and happiness, powerful Tenzin Gyatso Chenrezig. May you stay until samsara ends. Okay. So I hope I gave you a little bit of enthusiasm for, the 3 principal aspects of the path, because when you see how important they are and how when you meditate on them, it really changes your mind. Yeah. And just to add that, like when I face a problem, when my mind's upset, I don't go to Tantra to help me calm down. I go to Lamrim. I go to Lojong, the mind training teachings. Yeah.
That's right.
Okay. Thank you.
I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Venerable Children. Just for everyone now, I want to, Tse Chen Ling is in partnership doing this Women of Wisdom event with the Treasury of Lives. So I'm going to share this biography of a great Tibetan practitioner, female practitioner of the past. She was born in 1907. She was, it's Yangchen Lamo, the daughter of a famous Tibetan doctor. Yangchen studied and practiced medicine at an early age. In 1958, she took a permanent position at the Mense Kang to develop the traditional Tibetan medical treatment of gynecological and pediatric conditions. She presented a paper on the medical treatment of women at a conference in Lhasa in 1964 and wrote a gynecology textbook. During the Cultural Revolution, she was charged twice with subversion, first in 1966 and again in 1968, when she treated victims of a violent revolt in Lhasa. So the Treasury of Lives is a project to preserve stories of great women, Tibetan and other practitioners and teachers and scholars over many years. So please visit their website if you'd like. And thank you again, Venerable Chodron, and everyone who's attended today. And we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Venerable.
Thank you, Venerable.